Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody, into the Hump Day Hotline, brought to you by Fichte, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. My name is blank. Hi, my name is No, I'm not Slim Shady, but my name is just up here blank because that's just kind of the mood that I'm in. We'll talk a little bit about it, but my name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, and that guy right there is Jay Spence the King. Jay Spence, where can they find you on Twitter?
At Jay Spence the King, and
At
that's
Jay
pretty
Spence the
much
King.
it. Like I'm on other things, but now I don't even use. I haven't used my Instagram in like a month.
A month?
I gotta. Yeah, it's been like a month. I only used to use it just to like post the music I listen to. Really.
Oh
And
yeah, I would.
jokes.
Yeah, in jokes. Yeah, super good. Yeah,
Yeah.
super funny. How you feeling? Otherwise, you seem blasé, kind of like me.
I'm I'm blasé. I'm blasé. I got energy for the show, so we can do this. It's on.
It's
But
on.
like, yeah, no, it's on. But yeah, like when it comes to the Buffalo Bills and any conversation surrounding the Buffalo Bills right now, I'm just like real, like blah. Like I don't know what to feel.
All right, well, let's get into it here momentarily. Want to throw out a welcome and how are you doing to everybody that is joining us live right now, as well as to everybody who's going to consume this podcast in audio form later this week. Whatever
Yeah.
platform you are consuming it on, please please subscribe, hump that like, as we like to say
Hump
here
it.
on the Hump Day Hotline on Wednesday nights. On YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, please jump on that thumbs up button. We are also Super Chat Live. If you've got a question or a comment for us and you want us to answer it or respond to it, please Super Chat us. But real quick, let's hear from our show sponsor, Fichte, Endel, and Elmer.
It's time to say goodbye to the blur and hello to clear vision. Fichte, Endel, and Elmer are the first in Western New York to bring you Zeiss Smile technology. Along with our highly experienced surgeons, we promise an effortless journey to better vision. Gone are the days of fumbling for glasses or struggling with contact lenses. Embrace the freedom of superb sight, because we believe you deserve the world in HD. Visit us online at Fichte.com and schedule a consultation. Fichte, Endel, and Elmer. We are focused on you.
Focused on you. Sorry.
You got to record a jingle for them. You got to.
Oh, yeah.
You got to.
Do I now?
Yeah, we can
just grab my guitar over here and
just go ahead and get to it. Matt keeps asking me, our editor in chief. He keeps asking me. He's like, "When are you and Joe gonna like do a performance?" And I'm like,
collab.
But I'm like, dude, I can't speak for Joe, but I haven't like looked at a stage in years. Like I couldn't tell. Like I haven't even wanted to.
Thanks to you, I got to do karaoke for the first time in my life to Baby Got Back. So yes, but I actually was on stage this past weekend. I'll actually be on stage again this weekend, but I won't be collabing on any Buffalo Bill stuff necessarily. But no, I'd be down for it. Justice actually reached out to me not long ago, like 3-4 months ago, and was like, "Hey, we're thinking about doing some original artist things from Bill's Mafia. Are you interested?" And I was like, I guess I need more information. I'm not just gonna say yes, but then it didn't go anywhere after that. So
no, same. I wanted to do like a mixtape, like a Buffalo mixtape, where it was like,
well, that's cool.
You know, but like some of everything. Like, you know, I wanted like local rock bands. I wanted local country, hip hop, R&B. Like I wanted some of everything just to show like all the talent in Western New York and throw it all together. But I just didn't have the time. Like, you know, running a podcast network is actually it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work. So
herding cats, just the talent alone. So yeah. I can imagine.
I'll get to it. I promise. At some point, I'm going to do it. I really want to do that. But
so it was your idea that Justice was reaching out to me about?
No. It sounds like Justice. You know, great minds think alike. So it sounds like Justice was onto something as well. I had something. Nathan Roosevelt. Nate used to play for the Bills. He's a rapper. He was going to name Roosevelt. He was going to do something on there, and I had some other more well-known rappers who agreed to kind of do something. I'm not gonna say any names or name drop here, but just had some friends doing some favors. So I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be fun.
Well, you know that guy Joe Miller too, I heard, and he used to have a career in this music.
More favors.
It's funny to me. It's always funny to me when people ask me about the overreaction, and obviously this show too, and the Fina show, like but the overreaction specifically, like who's that band that's like for the beginning of your show on YouTube, and I'm like, that's my band. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, from 2007. Like that's a long. Actually, the song for the title song for this show and for Fina show is like 2004. 2004, 2005. So Yeah, it's been a minute since I did any type of recording and stuff like that. But welcome everybody. Welcome Jay Spence. It's good to see you. We get to start the show off in not the best of spots. The pressers happened today. We always cover the pressers on Hump Day Hotline because the pressers happened. And Brandon Bean started the day today, gave us about 18 minutes. Was it 18, 19 minutes of only Von Miller conversation? So if any of you were living under a rock, which is possible, it was the bye week. An allegation, or I should say a police report came out that there was a warrant out for Von Miller's arrest. What day was it? Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? It was, I don't remember what day of the week it was now. It's a kind of a blur. Last week sometime.
I feel like it was Thursday.
Was it Thursday? At some point in time.
Who knows?
With allegations and accusation that he had a domestic violence charge, and then there was some information, some reports that came out as far as what the police kind of found in their initial investigations and things that were said and cell phone stuff and blah 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 blah. He turned himself in, mugshot, and then the next day the alleged victim of the domestic violence was basically, and I'm just giving a recap, basically said, I don't know what y'all are talking about. This is all trash. It never happened, and I don't know why people got to make stuff up like this. And now here we are. And Brandon Bean's got to get trucked out in front of the media because the Bills are going back to practice. And I guess doing the best he can to answer questions. And there were some genuinely good questions, in my opinion, brought up today about a couple of different things. And one of them is in light of what happened with Matt Ariza, where are we at on this? And like, clearly they're taking a completely different position. They're going to let the legal system play itself out. I have thoughts. I'll let you kind of, I know we were texting a little bit today, and we've been texting through this process, and we all know what's been happening on social media. And I'm not going to say anybody's wrong as far as if somebody has the coldest of take or the hardest of take, which is that man should never wear a Bills jersey again. I'm not going to sit here. I was one of the ones, I just told you could go, now I'm talking. I was one of the ones that felt like, and I think you and I talked about that too. I felt like just because of the noise around the situation and what he had already admitted to, that Matt Ariza had to be let go. I just felt like what he had admitted. Yes, I did these things. He was like on record. He had testified, like not in court, but like during the investigation, that certain things had happened. And I was like, he's got to go. Like there's way too much smoke. Now we all know that the charges have all been dropped and he was cleared and blah, 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 blah. And he still doesn't really have a job. Good, bad, indifferent, equally bad, not bad, worse, whatever, yada, yada, yada. This one doesn't look good either at all. Now, please take the, yeah.
No, I mean, you was cooking. I don't have I don't have much to add. I mean, because then the thing is, I get it. So like the next day, Friday, she comes out and she says, everything's blown out of proportion. Yeah. I don't know what everybody is talking about, but I heard the 911 call. Like I heard the call.
Oh, did you hear it? Yeah, I did not hear it. So yeah,
I'll send it to you after we get off of this. Like, I heard the call. You see the police report. You see, I don't know. You just see everything, and again, it goes away. If she says that nothing's happened, then nothing's happened. And this has been it's been what's happened before.
Yeah, it's
where she's made an allegation against Von and then kind of recants it after a day or two or however much time has gone by. But then I don't want to also forget the porn revenge case that kind of is kind of forgotten in this.
Yep.
Like we don't talk about that. And so for me, it's concerning because it shows some type of pattern, and whether the pattern is she calls the police on him when they argue and things don't go right. And I don't know. So whether it's that, okay, then that needs to stop if it's not real. If things aren't happening, then that needs to stop. But then it also shows, like, look, the police say they saw bruising. They saw
on her neck, on her abdomen. She's pregnant on her abdomen. Yep.
So, is that, like I said, if you go to TMZ, you have the phone call where you hear her say who her boyfriend is that put hands on her. They asked if she needed an ambulance, and she said, I don't know, I'm bleeding. He pulled my hair out. I don't know, maybe. it's I just I don't know. I don't know how you can turn around the next day and say it's blown out of proportion.
Yeah. You called the police.
You called the police. Like there's an actual 911 call with your voice.
You felt like you had to call the police.
So I don't know. It's just it's a lot to think about, and I will say that these are two completely different situations when you look at the
Yes.
punt god situation
Yes.
versus this.
Yes.
Where I agree with you is that he was on the record saying that he slept with an underage girl.
Yeah.
And to me, I get the one charge wasn't what everybody kind of was upset about, but it still, to me, you slept with an underage girl and it was time to go. I am kind of personally, though, I know a lot of people might not appreciate this take from me, and that's fine, but I'm kind of on that same side when it comes to this. I think, I understand the contract implications, so I understand that you got to kind of wait, and hopefully the NFL finds something that they say, okay, we got to suspend this guy, or we put him on a commissioner exempt list. And then once that happens, then the Bills can save some money. So I get it. They don't want to make a move until something happens. I understand. I don't think he should be playing, dude. Like that's just a me thing. I think of it in the sense where, if you have a wife, a sister, a mother, a daughter. I don't have any kids, but it's like you have relationship,
female family members.
You have relationship with women, and just I don't know. These allegations are horrible, and the allegations that we've heard previously were horrible. And look, I love him too because he can rush the quarterback when he's healthy, and he does things. He last year against Kansas City, we about to play Kansas City now. Last year, he closed the game out for us. He was our closer. He was the reason in the fourth quarter why the Buffalo Bills were able to put that game away. Right. I love Von Miller too. But when it comes down to it, man, it's like I'm actually one of those guys that say, hey, let's protect women. Like, how about we just stop hitting women?
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff, even as it pertains to the Matariza case. Like, well, she was underage and she went to the party drunk. She knew what she was getting in, and it's like, there's a lot of this stuff that gets kind of lost on me. It's like, wait a second, that doesn't make it right, right? In this situation, getting back to the money and the financials, Greg Thompson from Cover One was reporting out the basic. I mean, everybody knows he's the salary cap guy. That because of the money, the guaranteed money, or the money that the Bills have already spent on Vaughn, if he's not on this football team next year for any reason, if they cut him, if they release him, if the NFL's like, you can't play football anymore, it's like $40 million. There is no savings. It's a huge, I think it's bigger than Josh's number. Like the number is astronomical. Yeah. So there's no real help coming in any way, shape, or form other than him continuing to play. As far as him continuing to play, I mean, I'm in agreement. There's an aspect of, I just don't want that. I think what's different, and maybe it's because of the community we live in. Maybe it's, we're the city of good neighbors. Maybe it's just Buffalo feels like a Midwestern town. I don't know, but you look at other cities around the country and they don't care about stuff like this, right? They're, whether it's Tyreek Hill or Kareem Hunt or whoever it is that has been caught up in these things before, they generally find their way to teams where the fans don't give a crap. Bills Mafia and just the fan base around our team generally likes to keep the integrity somewhat high if we can. I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm not saying that it's always true. I'm not saying that like there's never been an exception, but generally speaking, we have one type of reaction to this sort of thing, that we react well to charitable things, and we give all of our money to charities, and we react probably the way that we're supposed to react to negative things. Do we blow them out? What's that?
Wait a minute. We might get on that list. Me and you didn't make it. You and I, we did not make it. But there's a side where we get on the list. I'm just saying we react well, but then we got the list.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
You're talking about the list that guy made, right?
Yeah.
So I think I was the only one that came out and was like, these are my friends. Like, you don't even know these people. Stop talking about them. But yeah, anyways. So as it pertains to Von Miller playing football, we're not going to get to have the final say. I don't think this is going to be a situation like with Matariza where the fan base was up in arms enough that the Bills brass felt like they had to make a move. correctly make a move. And I think the best case scenario for Von Miller is he's not playing in Buffalo this weekend. I couldn't imagine this game happening in Buffalo and him being on the field and the crowd booing him when he's on the field. Because I wouldn't put it past our crowd if he stepped on the field, the crowd booing him. And I think he needs that one game buffer. I think that one game buffer is going to put a little bit of this behind him until it becomes news again, because there is still an investigation going. Like the prosecutor can still say, we're going to bring you up on charges.
It's just interesting to me because I was talking to Sarah earlier, and Sarah actually said that she thinks he would have been inactive if it was a Buffalo game. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, I just didn't think it was a difference. Like if they're going to, so you agree, you think he would have been inactive if it was a Buffalo game?
Yeah.
See, I guess in my mind, maybe I thought I was in the minority in Buffalo when it comes to how I view the situation with Hump, because I do see a lot of comments where people are like, well, you should have learned from the Matt Ariza situation. Like, let's let this play out. Let's not jump to the conclusions here. Let's not do that. Let's not do this. So, to me, I feel like the support in Buffalo wouldn't have changed. But that's interesting. If you and Sarah, and I'm sure in the comments, let us know if you feel the same. But I didn't think it would be an issue if it was a Buffalo game.
I can't speak to the transparency of the situation. I don't think it would have been. I don't know what Sarah said to you. I don't think it would have been, yes, due to all the smoke and what's going on, the distraction for Vaughn, we feel like it's better if he doesn't play this week, so we're going to set him down. I think it would have been it's just a numbers thing. We've got Taylor Rapp coming back. We've got Dawson Knox coming back. We got to, set somebody. I'm not saying they can waive him, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there probably would be another reason. He tweaked his knee a little bit, right? We're going to give him more, like today, veteran rest. He has a scheduled veteran rest day after having 2 weeks off. In other words, you didn't want him in the building when the press was there. Isn't that what that kind of means?
Pretty much. We didn't want him available.
Yeah, scheduled veteran rest day after having 2 weeks, and nobody batted an eye at it. Oh, let me just write those notes down. Scheduled veteran rest day. Like he's been off for 2 weeks. Like he caught a late flight, or his flight was canceled and he arrived late. He's not here. I don't know. I mean, make something else up. I don't know, man. Anyways, so we'll see what happens.
It's just upsetting, though. It's just upsetting because it seems like, and even if you want to get off of Vaughn for a second, it just seems like in general, when these things happen for players or coaches in the NFL, a lot of times there's minimal action taken unless it's something so egregious. So like if a video comes out, so like when Ray Rice thing happened and we saw the video, then the NFL quickly decided that they were going to suspend. But if the video,
irrefutable evidence.
Yeah. And it's like when the public sees certain things, then they act a little bit differently. But, I just feel like, this is going to be one of those things where they're, hopefully this is what I feel like the team in the NFL is kind of thinking. Hopefully the Bills go on a run here. They start to play better and everybody starts to focus on the wins.
Yeah. At the risk of somebody taking this completely out of context, I feel like there's hesitation by all professional sports franchises as it pertains to domestic violence and situations, unless there's irrefutable evidence, like somebody on video, like the Ray Rice situation, which ended his career. I feel like the NFL, I think there's a lot of hesitation because, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this, because everybody's home life is different. And I think there's an aspect of, even inside of a home life and a private home life, I just feel like I don't think that there's a, no. This is the lane. And everybody's home life lives inside of this little tiny barrier wall. I can promise you. So for me and my wife, for all intents and purposes, we don't have shouting matches. We don't, like, our kids have never really heard us raise our voices. We get irritated with each other. We get angry. Sure, we spat a little bit, but it's never what my parents did. I mean, I remember, hiding in the bedroom, holding my sister. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that if I went to one of my friends' homes that I've never been around their house, when him and his spouse was having an argument, I might be like, whoa, bro, chill. You know what I mean? Like, what are you throwing glasses against the wall for? Like, to me, that's out of like not even like in the world of normal, should never happen, blah, blah, blah. Like, and this is coming from a guy who, you know, grew up with beer bottles being thrown across the kitchen at people on Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, I all that to just say, I wonder if there's an aspect of what's normal to me isn't normal to you, isn't normal to Sarah, because we were talking about Sarah, isn't normal to Roger Goodell, isn't normal to Vaughn, isn't normal. Like, everybody's normal when it comes to home is different. And I'm just throwing it, just spaghetti at the wall. That's all I'm doing, throwing spaghetti at the wall. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why they're hesitant to move on. The league is hesitant to move on domestic violence type stuff, just because it's.
I don't know. Like I guess I could hear that argument to be made, but for me, there's just certain things where it's like a black and white. You know, like when it comes to domestic violence, like I don't think there's a gray area. When it comes to, but that's just me. And again, with it being Von Miller, I get how there's hesitant. Like, people are hesitant to talk about it. People don't want to, because we want to love Von. You know, like it's freaking Von Miller.
Yeah.
But dude, this is bad. Like it's a rough situation. It's bad. Matt in the comments said that there is, he said supposedly that there's a video of Miller and his girlfriend fighting. I haven't seen that yet. If somebody can tag me on that or DM it to me or something. But, you know, but it's an ugly situation.
It's funny.
For everybody involved.
Matt also says Ricky Williams lost an entire season for pot. Yeah, well, Bam Morris, I think, is still in prison for having a trunk full of pot. So, you remember Bam Morris from the Steelers? I think he went to the Raiders, one of the Raiders after that, right? When he was doing football, like a year after his football career, he got pulled over with a trunk full of marijuana, and I think he's still in prison. Anyways, I'm not right, which is now legal in a bunch of states, including the one that I'm in. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I just wonder. I don't. home life's vary. I don't, and that's a horrible way of saying it. I just don't even know. Yeah, so hopefully the legal process will play out, and what is supposed to happen will happen, and we'll kind of see where it goes from there. Now, let's transition to this week's football game, and let's start with that's a hard left turn right there, just in case that was not a good segue. There's an easy way.
Screeching stop.
There's no way to segue from it, so we're just gonna I should have done the pick the Endel and Elmer eye care thing right there. So we're going to bring up the injury report for both the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. And the reason we're doing both is just because the Buffalo Bills injury report looks better than it's looked since week one. I don't know that it looked this good week one.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was a full participant. Your Elam is looking to come back. They activated him for practice. Dawson Knox was activated off of IR for practice. Taylor Rapp is back with the neck injury. I think the only person on here that did not practice again was Von Miller. But with that, we want to take a look up actually at the Kansas City Chiefs injury report, and it's got some players on there. Isaiah Pacheco, for one, did not practice with a shoulder. Brian Cook, the safety, did not participate with an ankle. The big one, Donovan Smith, their left tackle, and it's Wanya Morris. Am I pronouncing that right? Wanya Morris, Wanya Morris, is a rookie tackle for the Chiefs who finished the Packers game. And that game is actually on TV right now. I'm going to pause it so I can watch him play football. So he'll be starting in this football game at left tackle, and then Drew Tranquil did not participate with a concussion, and then there was just a limited participant with Jerick McKinnon with a groin. So the big news there for me, outside of probably Pacheco, but I'm sure Pacheco is going to play. But the big news is the left tackle, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, there's both. Like you mentioned, Pacheco's a big deal. If Pacheco doesn't go, I think Pacheco, outside of Kelsey this year, I think Pacheco's been their best weapon on offense, for Mahomes. But no, anytime you lose a starting, like the boys to miss
Wanye. So Wanye. So I am pronouncing it wrong. So Wanye.
Okay. Well, anytime you lose a starting offensive lineman in general, it's not good. And look, we've seen what happens when you don't protect the quarterback properly. This year alone, I think we've seen more injuries to the season-ending injuries to quarterbacks than. I mean, how many years have we really seen it where you have like 8 or 9 guys out?
This is the most that I can remember seeing at the quarterback position. I mean, it's borderline insane, and the majority of them are AFC quarterbacks, which is even more bizarre. Like, it's not even a situation where it's like half and half or close. It's like 2 NFC quarterbacks, right, and then everybody else is an AFC quarterback. The Wanye situation with the left tackle and their right tackle hasn't been playing well this year either. Puts us in an interesting spot when you talk about just the trenches and you talk about our defensive line against their offensive line. Our offensive line, which has been playing much better against their defensive line, and understanding that this game is going to be played in the trenches. When you take those two position groups together, or separate them, I should say, and talk about them individually, Chris Jones is Chris Jones. And the Bills have done a pretty good job, I think, against their defensive line during the regular season the last 2 years with the 2 dubs that we've had. Obviously, 2 years ago, the Bills won big. And then last year, as you said, Von Miller, pressed Patrick Mahomes, who threw the interception to Taron Johnson to close the game out. What's going to be interesting to me is, so I'm not super concerned about our offensive line against their defensive line, is particularly with Spencer Brown, obviously healthy with the back and has played markedly better this year than he has last year. And, Connor McDermott, has played well. That offensive line has done a very, very good job inside of structure. When Josh gets outside of structure, things get a little bit hairy at times, but that kind of comes with the game. And I'm not going to complain about that as much as it drives Jerry and John crazy that he drops to 11 yards or drops to 12 yards or vanishes from the pocket before he should. That's his game. So I'm not going to criticize that. It'll be interesting to see our defensive line versus their offensive line. And you and I quipped and joked a little bit about it, because it seems like from the time that I became a Bills fan and started understanding football, every time there was a situation, regardless of who was on the defensive line for us, if there was a left tackle missing or a right tackle missing or the center was missing, that it was like, oh, the defensive line is going to eat. And then they don't. It's like, nope, that rookie 5th round tackle came in and played like a Hall of Famer for that one game against pick a guy, right? Pick a defender. And I think that's my biggest concern, is that somehow
Jerry Hughes,
Jerry, right?
Jerry Hughes,
Mary Williams could get nothing done today against the rookie 6th round pick out of Tulane.
And shout out to both legends. I love both those guys, but I mean, like, that's just how the Buffalo Bills it's just how it goes. Like, you lose the starting left tackle, and we have our starting 1st round draft pick that's
the Hall of Fame.
4th overall. Yeah, like, and he can't eat at all. Like, it's just crazy. It's crazy, man.
Blocks them up perfectly every single down. So, I mean, I think that's my only real concern as far as that goes. But, I think the big question is going to be, is Dawson Knox going to play in this football game? And if he does, what should we expect from him? What are your thoughts on rep count? I mean, are they going to put him on a pitch count? Is he going to have a blocking role? I mean, obviously, from a Dalton Kincaid standpoint, who was I listening to today? I think I was listening to Sal or somebody, or Joe Marino, maybe. It was Joe Marino this morning on WGR 55 was talking about, like, this should be a Dalton Kincaid game, because over the middle, in that kind of soft area of the field, the Chiefs have been exploited horribly this year. Like, literally, Joe was like, this is a game where Dalton Kincaid should be the primary and the focus all game long until they stop it and then go someplace else. But what are your thoughts on Dawson?
Well, I agree with what Joe Marino said. But for me, it's one of those games where I could see it going, like, honest to God, this is one of those games where it wouldn't surprise me if anything happened. Like, if the Bills came and they blew the Chiefs, if they just blew those guys out by 20 points, or if the Chiefs blew the Bills out by 20 points,
right.
If it was a tough game, like, however it played out, I would not be surprised, because both teams have been inconsistent this year. They haven't looked the way they're supposed to look. The Chiefs still have a really good record, even though their offense hasn't really figured it out yet. I don't think when you watch and I'm sorry, Bills fans, I love Patrick Mahomes, so I watch a lot of the Chiefs games. He's still Patrick Mahomes. The difference is these guys that's when they're catching it from him, they're not making things happen like we're used to seeing.
Right.
But he's still Patrick Mahomes, and in any given moment, he can turn a game around. He can open it up and just, like, he can just. He's Patrick Mahomes. I just put it like that.
They're averaging 19 points a game, which even when the Bills were bad, right? Ken Dorsey, and Josh Allen was off of his game, the Bills were averaging more than that. So the Bills were actually averaging more on offense and fired their offensive coordinator. The question for me is, how much of this is Eric Bieniemy, right? How much of this is Eric Bieniemy being gone? Now, I know there's going to be a quick knee jerk that it's like, well, he isn't doing anything in Washington. Really? Because Sam Howell doesn't look horrible. I mean, he's making lemonade out of lemons, right? As far as that goes in that situation.
Yeah.
Which we could parlay into another conversation of if coaches become available and somebody from this staff goes away, is Eric Bieniemy a guy that we would, I don't know. Anyway, him with Josh Allen, right? I don't know, just throwing it out there, but you got to wonder how much of that is the case, Eric Bieniemy being gone. So you know, obviously Andy Reid calls the plays. I'm sure philosophically he has a big part of the scheme, what they're trying to accomplish, but Bieniemy's absence, in my opinion, is part of that. They're also missing Juju, right? Juju's no longer there. Juju's in New England now, and he kind of has vanished there. But they're living and dying kind of by that Tom Brady strategy. They've got, Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady. They've got Kelsey, Gronkowski, and we don't give a crap what the wide receivers are because Pat's going to make them look good. And Aaron Rodgers did a very similar thing, right? Aaron Rodgers, except he actually never had a great tight end either. He made tight ends look really good, and then the tight end would go to another team and vanish. So to your point, it'll be interesting to see if they're going to figure it out. I hope they don't in this game. The question is two things kind of going into this. Number one, the Bills are generally pretty good off the bye. Winning wise, they come out a little bit flat to start, but then they generally win, and the Chiefs pretty much never lose 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for several reasons, both of them that you just named. Like you mentioned, Sean McDermott is very good after the bye as a head coach, and then, Patrick Mahomes just for his career, he doesn't lose 2 in a row. It's just not who he is as a quarterback. It's not who his coach is as a head coach. So somebody's going to make history this week. So we'll see what happens, man. But I think when I look at the Buffalo Bills, I feel good about the offense. The direction that we're going over the last 2 weeks.
Agreed.
I feel very good about the offense. And I think if we can just clean up, I know a lot of us were upset, Joe. A lot of us were mad after the Eagles game because of all of the penalties, right? I wasn't mad at the penalties.
I wasn't mad at the penalties, but yeah.
Well, I was upset about the penalties that weren't called.
Yes.
That's what I wasn't upset about.
We talked about
but
it.
A bunch of the penalties that were called, they deserved them. Like the Bills were sloppy.
Yeah.
It was a very ugly game. It was very sloppy. So I'm looking to see the Bills clean up those mistakes.
Yeah.
You clean up those little mistakes. Stop offsides and all these little holding and all this stuff like that. Come on, man. Let's play some football. Let's go out there and let's act like we want to make the tournament. You got to win these games.
Yeah, in the pressers today, there was several of the players that made mention of the fact that there's a lot of energy coming back. Josh Allen said that the team is very eager about being back. He said anxious at first, and then he corrected himself. Not anxious. He was like more eager. I don't know why he was upset about the word, concerned about saying the word anxious. Maybe it could turn into anxiety, and then like, oh, look at this team, they're falling apart because they're all anxious, which is what the media does. There was a lot of conversation. Leonard Floyd made it a point to talk about just the focus. They all understand where they are, that they're 6-6, and that it's not out of reach yet. That they've got work to do. They're all dialed in. And I guess for me, and we can move on from this subject or this topic here in a second. I don't understand why it takes this long. I'm not saying they played bad against the Eagles. They obviously throttled the Jets. There's a turning around of sorts that's happening with this team. There's a measure of urgency that kind of took place a couple of weeks ago. And then obviously the defense let up. And whether you want to blame the players, whether you want to blame execution, whether you want to blame scheme, play call, prevent defense, taking your foot off the gas, however you want to blame it, regardless, it happened, right? The Bills dropped a game against the Eagles that they had in the bag that they should not have lost. They overcame the refs. They overcame the penalties. They overcame the weather. They did everything that they needed to do except make a stop. They didn't make the one stop they needed to make in order to win that football game. And they had 2 opportunities to do it and didn't do it. They had more than 2, but 2 key opportunities to do it and didn't do it. Where is your faith and your confidence level? And I think I know, but I'm going to ask anyway, because I think we're all kind of in the same boat, that this team is going to be able to go on a run. We've watched them the last 3 years go on a run at the end of the season. 8-0, I think they went, 21, they went 8-0, right? That was the year that they were 7-6 or something like that, or they were 6-5 and they went 8-0 until they lost. They lost the 9th game because that was going to be like number 9, Corey Bojorquez, like 9-0 in the Boho, right? Which would have been the Super Bowl, I think. Or no, that would have been the championship game to take him to the Super Bowl. I think they won 6 in a row last year to finish the season, or 7 in a row. So they've done this before. This is not unfamiliar territory to them as a team. Like, they know how to do this. They seem confident. They're talking like they're confident. Where are you at?
I just think that we're not going to make the playoffs, man. I don't think we're going to win all of these games that we need to win. We're going to lose 1 or 2 of these games. It's just inevitable to me. And I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I know I'm going to get to everybody saying, Spence, you're not a real Bills fan if you're thinking like that. I'm sorry. I've watched football all season with this team, and I see what I've seen.
Yep.
And I just don't think that we're going to be able to beat the teams that we're lined up to play. I don't think that we're going to win every single game. I just don't.
Yeah, when I went through it with Rev, I was on Rev's show on Saturday night, and we went through at that time it was just the Colts, the Broncos, the Texans, the Steelers, and the Browns, 5, and then the Bengals have now entered the chat because they are now ahead of the Bills as well. That was the other thing too that we didn't even talk about at the top, is the Buffalo Bills come out of the bye losing again because they went from 10th to 11th. I put a tweet out that a bunch of people are running me on, because I was like, if the Bills win this weekend, and the only 2 teams that can help them lose, the Bills move from 11th to 9th. Now, again, there's still 5 games after that, right? Is that right? 5 games? Yeah, 5 games after that. But at the end of the day, the reality is it's still only 9th. They still got quite a bit of work to do. I don't even know what to make of it. Yes, all these teams play each other. They're all going to consume parts of each other. There's no guarantee. Like, the only guarantee is the Bills win out. And I know that there's still an opportunity that if the Bills win out and they beat the Dolphins in Miami last game of the season, and the Dolphins drop a game between now and then the Bills beat them, the Bills can win the East. I get it. I understand that. But to your point, I'm not feeling it. Like, if this was 2020 or 2021, I'd be feeling it. If it was last year, well, end of last year, the offense wasn't great. If it was 2020 or 2021, I'd be feeling it. Right now, I'm just like, man, I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I see the comments. Matt says until they lose, 1 more game, I see opportunity. I love the optimism. Sarah says I see positive still from last weekend, and
there was positive.
There were positives, but to me, you still lost a game that you should have won, and that might sound like I'm being a negative Nancy. Sorry to any Nancy out there.
I got called that.
But
I got called that. I was like, I consider myself realistic, Ralph. Thanks.
Well, but I mean, I guess that's where I'm at. I look at the team, and it's like, as great as Josh Allen has been this season, Josh Allen is playing great football. Like, he's playing amazing football. Even when the offense was bad, he was playing really good football. And
statistically,
the defense,
statistically, he was playing very good football. That's right.
And then the defense, to some degree, I feel for them, A, because of all the injuries, but B, because even though, okay, the defense has had moments where they haven't looked like the defense that we're used to seeing, because they're a shell of themselves.
Yeah,
and then on top of that, the offense, before they made this change, the offense couldn't stay on the field, so they were losing time of possession. The defense was out there for, I don't know. I need to say, I'm the opposite of what Matt is saying. He's saying until they lose again, then he's hopeful. I'm at the point where I'm saying I need to see them put a game together where they play well in all 3 phases.
Before you read that, like, I'm hopeful until they lose again. They just lost. So,
like, they're coming off of a loss.
Like, anyway, our guy Peyton Plays gives us a super chat. He says, I'm very optimistic about 2024. If Von Miller isn't on this football team, and it costs us somewhere between 32 per Sarah Larson and $40 million per Greg Thompson, I don't know how optimistic I'm going to be.
Crazy.
I think it's time. I think it's time, my friend. So that's the segment. There it is. Share it down.
Sorry, you got to give me a sign first so I can actually look it up first.
You've always been hot on the trigger. Like, literally, you've always been hot on the trigger. And
I was in the comments today. I was slacking. I was in the comments. It's all good.
It's like, so, I don't know. We've not rehearsed this. It's like the 5th time we've been doing it since summer, haven't we?
I don't even know when. No, yeah, because when you were at the
cottage
at the lake. Yeah. So so for those listening by podcast and those watching, when you hear that means that it's our 3rd down segment. That means we're going to get our Josh Allen stat line and a score prediction for the game. We'll see how everybody thinks it'll go. So in the comments, let's go ahead and load us up with them. Let's see what you think. I'm going to start us off, Joe. I think Josh plays well against the Chiefs. He always does.
He tends to. Yep. Other than that,
so
I think the first time we played them in the AFC Championship game, he did not. Right? Did he have a little bit of a down? I don't remember. I'm gonna look it up. You talk.
I think Josh played well. I think everybody was hurt. That was the game that Diggs had. He had like a oblique injury or something like that.
Beasley had the broken leg.
So right, I think we had a beat up team, and Josh was like, I remember because Josh was like bleeding, man. He had like blood on his knee, blood on his shoulder, like he was just beat up everywhere. But I think so for the most part, Josh shows up when we play against the Chiefs. So I think that's going to be another thing that we see where it's just going to continue because that's who he is. But my concern is, how is this defense going to show up against Patrick Mahomes? Because even though the Chiefs haven't offensively been what we're used to seeing. It's still Patrick Mahomes, man. Like they can still, and look, there hasn't been a player besides Gronk in my existence of being a Bills fan that dominates the Buffalo Bills defense like Travis Kelce. Other than Gronk, Travis Kelce just has his way against us, man. So, and there's been games that we've played well against him. Like the last couple of times, we've kind of contained him. So I'm not saying it like always, but more often than not, man, Kelce. It's a dagger play, and I can't.
So did you give a Josh Allen stat line in there?
No, I didn't. I just said he was going to be great. So I'm going to say
great. Sorry.
Oh, no, got sound effects. Awesome.
Tony the Tiger.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Josh goes for 285, 2 touchdowns in the air, 1 on the ground.
I like it.
I'm going to say he protects the ball this week, too. No turnovers.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting football game for me. Last week, the Eagles game, I predicted that it was going to be low scoring and was wrong. And I feel like this is going to be a low scoring game as well. And then potentially hope to be wrong because I prefer it when the Bills score points. It's difficult for me to watch this Bills offense not score. Is it? And I don't know if it's because I know we've gone through the years of 1-score game this, 1-score game that, 1-score game this, and can the Bills win them? Can the Bills not? And the defense lets up, or blah 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 blah. I just feel like we've never had a conversation, and I don't know that anybody has that I'm aware of around the Bills in low-scoring games. It doesn't seem like the Bills fare well in low-scoring games. Like if you shut that Bills offense down. Mm-hmm. You've pretty much done it. You've done your like that's what it takes. They're not going to beat you 9-6, right? But they've gotten beaten 9-6, right? So, anyways, for Josh Allen in this football game, I like what you said. I don't think he potentially makes a mistake either. I think for them, it's gotten to be routine playing in Kansas City. They know what they're going to get. They know what to expect. They know what the crowd's going to do. They know how to basically just do what they got to do and shut the crowd down a little bit. Now that crowd is, I've said it 100 times, is one of the best crowds in the league. They're phenomenal. It's a great crowd. And they're nice. They're a lot, in my opinion, a lot like Bills fans. I know people have bad stories about Bills fans. They've got bad stories about every stadium, but Kansas City Chiefs fans generally, they'll razz you on the way out, but they're usually pretty good fans. But I feel like the Bills offense can play in that environment and they're used to it. If they utilize Dalton Kincaid and take advantage of the things that they need to take advantage of, that team can also be ran on. They're, I think, 28th in the league against the run. So it's all going to come down to game plan and effectively keeping this offensive machine rolling. But I'm still going to probably go somewhere around 28 for the Bill. Oh, Josh Allen stat line. I'm not doing score predictions. I'll do that next. Josh Allen stat line for me. I think I'm with you. I think I'm in that 280 range, 300 range, couple touchdowns. Air, ground, right? Maybe no turnovers. I'd like to see no turnovers from Josh in this game just to shut people up, to Mike Greenberg's point. I don't know if you saw that video today.
I did. I liked it.
Yeah, Mike Greenberg coming to bat for the Bills. So that's where I'm at. I think you'll have about 30 yards on the ground rushing this week as well. And then for a score prediction, I got the Bills probably in a 1-score game, 1-possession game. I got the Bills at about 28, and I'd say the Chiefs probably about 24.
I like it. I'm around the same area. I was gonna go maybe 27-21. So same thing. I got the Bills winning, but I think it's I think it's one of those games where it's gonna be frustrating for your blood pressure. So hey, I don't know. Whatever calms you, do that before the game. If your pregame is typically something that gets you extra hype, you might want to do something that reverses that hypeness this week.
With a rookie left tackle in the game, now more than ever, keeping Mahomes in the pocket and maintaining your gaps in the center is going to be like, you've got to keep him. And that'll be interesting too, because I know that it's a chess game. And I know that there's times when we expect the Bills defense to be dominant, and they're not, because they're trying to keep a quarterback in the pocket. So they're intentionally not trying to get to the quarterback. They're just trying to keep him in that space. If they let him get out, I mean, he could run for 80 yards on us. I mean, he could pull a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson on us in a hurry if they don't.
I mean, he's done it. He's done it before against us.
Yeah, right. So
and I tell you what, not to bring this full circle, I guess, but you want to shut people up and you want to move on from certain things. Von Miller, this is the game to come out and have 2 sacks.
Yes. Yeah, to be dominant. Yeah, take the brace off and let her rip as far as that goes, for sure. Awesome. I'm going to get us out of here. Is that cool with you?
That's great.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into the Hump Day Hotline, brought to you by Fichte, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. My name is Joe Miller. That over there is Jay Spence the King. We are here representing Buffalo Rumblings, and coming up right after us is the Line to Gain, right, with Jerry and Sarah. So 9 o'clock.
I think they're going tomorrow. I believe.
Oh, are they going tomorrow?
Tomorrow at 9. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Well, make sure you tune in for that show. Also, I think I can announce it. On the Off Tackle with John Fina show this week on Monday, we will be hosting Greg Cosell from ESPN or NFL Network. But yeah, he's actually on the Bills. One Bills Live every week. So really, really excited about that. But want to thank everybody for tuning in, for joining us. For me, for Jay Spence the King. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.